They thought the streets of Portland were theirs until now.
Oh yeah, shove it down. Fuck you, man. Quit shoving. You're punching. The odds are you punching. Leave that alone. Fuck you, man.
Butter the popcorn, gang, because you're about to see what happens when the most infamous far-left anarchists in America finally get a taste of their own medicine. All across Portland, where Antifa once dominated the streets, the tides have turned. Brutal arrests, chaotic chases, and the end of an era for the city's far-left radicals, all caught live on camera. But the crackdown isn't stopping at riot shields and pepper balls. As of last night, the Trump administration has launched a scorched earth campaign to hunt down not just the foot soldiers, but the shadowy financiers pumping millions into chaos across America. Stick with me at the very end of this video, because we're going to find out how the end game the legacy media never wanted you to see is happening as we speak, and it's all just getting started. Hey gang, it's me, Dr. Steve, your Patriot Professor, here to help you make sense of the madness as the far left desperately tries to stop the unstoppable rise of a new conservative age that's happening all over the world, and you are making it possible. So if you want a front row seat on how you're changing the world in ways you never even imagined, make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button. It's finally happening. Antifa is getting absolutely decimated. The once emboldened protesters dressed in black with their homemade shields and cartoonish bunny masks have been thrown into retreat. Police have adopted military precision and defensive ICE facilities all throughout Portland, sweeping city blocks, tagging targets with laser sights, moving in to arrest key agitators one by one while the crowd scatters in panic. These are the scenes that are playing out every single night of late. Each time a ringleader broke cover, the officers took him down fast. The Antifa bravado that once reigned unchallenged on the streets of Portland has been reduced to nothing but desperate shouts and the soundtrack of bodies hitting pavement. It's a spectacle for sure. Antifa, once untouchable, is now actually afraid to stay out after dark. Months ago, Portland streets were their stage. Now, they're running, scared. But the show of force on the ground is just the beginning. The Trump administration has announced a sweeping whole-of-government crackdown to trace Antifa's funding networks. Now, this isn't about isolated busts anymore. It's about following the money, from street-level agitators right up to the billionaire donors and progressive foundations fueling the unrest. At a recent White House roundtable, President Trump handed down orders to expose and dismantle the entire, what we might call, protest industrial complex. The administration's new tools involve things like coordinated investigations by the Justice Department, by the FBI, the Treasury Department, and the IRS. The targets are no longer just organizers and rioters, but the nonprofits, the dark money groups paying for the travel, the bail funds, and the propaganda. Key figures behind the scenes, they're like George Soros' Open Society Foundations, the Tide Foundations. They are now finding themselves in the legal crosshairs here. The president's inner circle described Antifa as a corporate-style operation with marketing divisions, legal backup, and professional logistics, disguised as a grassroots movement. The administration is using every leverage, including RICO statutes and threats to yank nonprofit tax-exempt status. Trump's message is absolutely clear. If you fund street violence, law enforcement is going to open up your books and they're going to follow every single dollar. And it's already having a very chilling effect among some of the more prominent financiers and leaders of Antifa. You may have heard about Mark Bray, the Rutgers professor who literally wrote the book on Antifa tactics. After Trump's crackdown intensified, Bray packed his family and they all fled to Spain, claiming he was getting death threats. But it's long been recognized that Bray isn't just an academic observer. His Antifa, the Anti-Fascist Handbook, basically became the movement's operational guide. It was circulated among radical networks and was used to train activists in violent tactics all across the country. But Bray is just a useful idiot in all of this. The real catch involves the key financiers that the Trump administration has identified, people like George Soros through his Open Society foundations. Soros has funded upwards of $80 million to extremist-linked groups since 2016. Or you could think of LinkedIn co-founder and Democrat mega-donor Reid Hoffman and the shadowy Arabella Advisors Network that's funneled over $100 million to professional protest organizations. Perhaps most damaging is Neville Roy Singham, the ex-Microsoft executive who fled to China and maintains financial ties to the CCP. He's been living in Shanghai since 2023, and he's funneled at least, reportedly, $100 million to far-left U.S.-based protest groups while generating CCP propaganda. And that actually sort of closes the loop here on all of this, because as we saw with the tariff announcement against China last Friday, this crackdown on Antifa is happening at the exact moment when Trump's economic policies are reshaping global finance. So, for example, you've seen gold and silver prices absolutely skyrocketing of late, right? What's so key here is that this isn't coincidence. It's the direct result of President Trump's pro-growth agenda. Lower interest rates, strategic dollar weakening to boost American exports abroad, and policies designed to rebuild domestic manufacturing. It's no wonder Goldman Sachs actually just raised their 2026 gold outlook to $4,900 per ounce. And many analysts think they're being too conservative on that. We've got over 3 more years of these America First policies ahead of us, which means this upward trajectory isn't slowing down anytime soon. So this is exactly why smart Americans are taking control of their retirement accounts by backing them with physical gold and silver. My friends over at Augusta Precious Metals understand that in times of economic warfare, whether it's against Antifa's financiers or foreign adversaries, you need assets that can't be manipulated by the same corrupt system Trump is fighting. Augusta works with Americans who have over $50,000 in their IRAs, 401ks, or other retirement accounts to make the smart move into smart money. The economy is changing rapidly, but gold and silver have always been used to store wealth through good times and bad. Reach out to Augusta by going to turleygold.com. That's turleygold.com. You can also call them at 844-763-3908 or text Turley to 35052. That's 35052. Central banks around the world, gang, are stocking up on gold and silver as we speak. If central banks thought gold and silver had peaked in price, they wouldn't be buying so much of it today. Let Augusta Precious Metals answer all your questions with their educational, zero-pressure approach to gold IRAs. Go to turleygold.com or text Turley to 35052, and you get instant access to a free 2-minute report that reveals the greatest threat to your retirement today. The economy is changing rapidly, but gold and silver have stored wealth through every crisis in human history. While Trump wages financial war against the radical left's money machine, shouldn't you be protecting your own wealth with the same assets central banks are hoarding as we speak? Go to turleygold.com, that's turleygold.com, or text Turley to 35052 for instant access to a free report revealing the greatest threat to your retirement today. Perhaps most shocking of all, we're now learning that upwards of over $100 million in U.S. taxpayer funds have flowed through these Antifa-based networks, meaning that American taxpayers, yes, you and me, have actually been forced to finance this far-left lunacy. You can't make this up. Now, this shocking revelation comes by way of the investigative work by the Government Accountability Institute. And they found that Antifa operates less like a grassroots movement and much more like a very sophisticated corporation with multiple divisions. So they have the boots on the ground division, right? That's your useful idiots, right? Your street activists and the like. They have PR and marketing divisions. So that involves propaganda and recruitment. They have a whole legal division that handles their bail funds and activist lawyers who quickly return arrestees back to the streets. They have a logistics operations, which involves coordinated transportation operations. They even pay homeless people to protest. The investigation uncovered a highly complex funding network involving private billionaire donors like George Soros' Open Societies Network, the Arabella Funding Network, the Tides Funding Network, Neville Roy Singham's CCP-linked network, and the most shocking discovery of them all, over $100 million in U.S. taxpayer funds flowing in these radical networks through two primary mechanisms. First, direct grants to radical organizations. For example, at least $4 million went directly to groups involved in violent activities. And then secondly, indirect funding through partner nonprofits. And of course, this involves government grants, foundations, NGOs that then redistribute that money to Antifa-linked groups. So yes, you and I have actually been inadvertently funding this insanity. That is before they got doged, before they all got doged and their funds suddenly dried up. In fact, it was actually Elon Musk who reviewed these findings and concluded that the actual amount of taxpayer money involved going to Antifa, he thought was way more than $100 million. It suggests that the GAI, research of the Government Accountability Institute study, it may have only uncovered just the tip of the iceberg in all of this. Regardless, the Trump administration is bringing the full force of the federal government down on Antifa as we speak. The administration is now using RICO statutes, typically reserved for organized crime, while the IRS investigates revoking tax-exempt status to any nonprofit organization found supporting political violence like Antifa. I mean, this isn't just about Portland streets anymore. It's about dismantling the entire financial infrastructure that's been funneling far-left chaos for years. For ordinary citizens, this couldn't have come soon enough. But inside Antifa's own networks, dread is setting in. Safe houses uncovered, funding routes mapped, communications intercepted. The crackdown is designed to have a nationwide chilling effect. Not just to shut down riots in Portland, but to dry up the resources that allow similar demonstrations to erupt elsewhere. Even Silicon Valley and left-wing legal groups know if they've provided material support, they're going down. And their days of fueling far-left violence are finally over. So what do you guys think? Is this it? Is the Trump administration the end of Antifa? Let us know in the comments section down below. And make sure to visit our good friends over at Augusta Gold. You do not want to miss out on this. Go to turleygold.com. That's turleygold.com. Or text Turley to 35052 for instant access to a free report revealing the greatest threat to your retirement today. God bless.